The CC series, it's a cabinet cooler, which is why it's a CC. The CC ranges from approximately 1,500 BTUs to just about 5,000 BTUs. The CC cabinet cooler unit is designed for cabinets because usually cabinets are not as deep. It's not something where you can typically walk into. It's more like a reach in. So the CC are designed so that it can work with narrow spaces, but at the same time has enough power to be able to blow across wide spaces. So a cabinet, for the most part, again, we know you can't walk into them, but sometimes they are very wide. This unit, for example, here, CC cabinet unit, does that very well. So you can take a wall and you just want to do like a nice display of racks, single display of racks, but at the same time be able to cool it. That would be the perfect unit. Somewhere like a niche, a pantry, for example, a wide, long space. We've done them in bars, restaurants, hotels, under counters, you name it. Pretty much any application where we see it is going to definitely serve the needs. With pros on this unit, it's very small. So a lot of the times we've even found ourselves building it into a rack space because the customer didn't want to take up a lot of racking space, or because they didn't have a way to hide it into the ceiling, or they just wanted something very small that was going to cool the room. This was it. So it's a very small unit that, as long as the designers give us what we want for clearances, it's going to work just like any other cooling unit. The other thing is that the unit, having two fans, is able to circulate a lot more air at the same time. So it makes it very efficient, even on real tight applications or for big spaces as well, because again, it's able to move so much air with the dual fans. It's long lasting. It's a very long lasting unit. Actually, from my personal experience, it's one of the units that after we install, we hardly ever go back to. And I'm talking about 10 plus years. I want to say it's one of the units that I would call the little beast. It's a small unit, but it's very, very durable unit. The cons, I would say, being that it moves so much air, you would expect that it has a powerful fan motor, and it does. But at the same time, because it has that powerful motor, it's going to be a little bit louder than your average wine refrigeration unit. As far as difficulty, more because of the installation, it's a very tight unit. It's small, which is why it's perfect for these kind of applications. The interior components to this unit are very tight, very close to each other. So there's very limited space. When it comes to an installer point of view, it is more on the difficult side of installation, but not that it is difficult once you get to know the unit. When it comes to servicing and accessing the components, again, I mentioned everything is so tight up in there that when you remove the grill, the access grill, which is on the face of this unit, if the original installer does not place the components right, it makes it very difficult to adjust an expansion valve if you have to, change out a coil if you have to down the road, adjust the blade if you have to down the road. So the installer has to go in thinking about that he's going to have to service it with no problem down the road.